select Twisted Fate, Kindred, and Quinn going to be the first 3 bans of this game. So different bans to what we've seen for the rest of the day.
Haintung, Twisted Fate banned out against him. Quinn and Lulu going out, so no one's going to get their hands on those on the side of Manlight. Kindred is a ban that we've seen pretty much across most games, apart from the game where obviously Impaler managed to pick that one up for Renegades. And like I said, I think Kindred is now heading towards the top tier jungle list because of how strong she is compared to other junglers that have received nerfs. And the final ban going to come through from here. Now, I imagine that Gragas will be a first pickup again, if it doesn't get banned here, because it's just been so influential in most games. I think Gragas actually has a 100% win rate today.
Yeah, I believe so.
So I think
Plex was terrifying on it when it came to engaging fights later on in the game. It was every single time he
they're actually going to go for the
Poppy. Yeah, so first pick Poppy coming in, not going for that Gragas that we've been talking about, and kind of interesting as well. And taking a look at the junglers that are banned, we've got Nidalee banned out and Kindred. So Gragas is going to be the lock-in here as well as an Alistair, but what is the jungler that you lock in here on the side of Manlight?
Elise is still up and hasn't been changed, so you could play Elise. We know Dongs or Furion used to play quite a lot of Elise last time in the ESL Premiership. It was one of his better champions. Still got that in the bag. When you go past that, though, you're kind of scraping at the barrel for viable junglers. Lee Sin, we know that Furion can play a good Lee Sin as well, so that is still up and available too. Raisins is going to get his Alistair, which is something that we haven't seen for a little while because it has been banned against him. And obviously it means that Danny is going to pick up his Gragas here. So there you go, Lee Sin locked in. Something we know Furion is good. Larsen's going to get his Corki. It's something he's played consistently. It's still incredibly strong in that mid lane. And that's going to continue to be a presence for Manlight here going forward.
Yeah, it certainly is. That Corki has been terrifying, really, for Larsen. We've seen him play it a whole lot in the Premiership and do some great things with it. Lee Sin is going to be finalised for Furion. We've seen him do wonders on that champion in the past, and he's going to be up against Danny on that Gragas. First Alistair we've seen locked in today. It looks to be going with a Sivir potentially in that bottom lane, but we are seeing also a Vayne hover. Seriously doubt Vayne will be locked in though, and that's going to be a Nautilus for the top lane.
Yep, so it's going to be Fearless on the Nautilus. They're going to Sivir, and this is looking quite similar to most Sivir compositions that we've seen. Just sub out that Braum for the Alistair, sub out the Malphite for the Nautilus, and they kind of do the same thing, to be honest. You know, they kind of do the same thing. Nautilus is still there to provide the engage in the top lane. Alistair still provides quite a lot of CC in the same way that Braum does. So you're running with a very similar Sivir type composition here. It just really depends what Haintung is going to go for in the mid lane. We've seen them play Ahri. You know, they could just go for an Ahri again. And again, they're leaving it to the last pick so he can get at least some form of counter here.
Yeah, absolutely. Azir currently being hovered over. Now, we've seen a decent amount of Azir recently in LCS and things. So maybe could be a pick that we see locked in. Could possibly see the Corki go to the AD carry position, but doesn't seem that likely to me. I would expect that to be changed last second, but I might just eat my words. So we're going to see a Corki AD carry and Azir go to the mid lane. Hado going to be playing on that Bard as well.
So we're going to see Larsen play Azir. This is the first time I believe we've seen it in ESL Premiership. Maybe we've seen it once
this
before.
Season at least, yeah.
Yeah, I think for some reason in my head I think we maybe have seen it once before, but I can't quite remember
it.
Yeah,
I don't remember much, so maybe we did.
But it could be Larsen. So Larsen's going to be on this Azir, which does actually play into the hands of Haintung, in my opinion, because things like Zed and LeBlanc do well against Azir, and that's kind of Haintung's strength in the mid lane. So I think Larsen's going to have to be incredibly careful. And Ahri, there you go, is the pickup. So these kind of champions do pretty well against Azir because he's pretty hard, difficult to deal with hard engaged champions like Zed, LeBlanc, and Ahri. Even with his Emperor's Divide, Ahri can circumnavigate that very easily with her Spirit Rush.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Larsen's going to have his work cut out for him. He's going to play incredibly defensive. But that's the compositions all locked in here, Munch, and we're ready to get into the Rift.
We certainly are. We'll have to see how these ones are going to pan out. Very poke-oriented composition coming out here from the likes of Manlight. You've got that Azir, you've got a Corki as well from your AD carry.
Huge amount of teamfight control.
Yeah, you've got a really massive amount of disengage as well. If you consider the kick from Lee Sin, you've got Hado on the Bard as well. That Tempered Fate is one of the best disengage tools in the entire game, I would argue. But then you've also got the Poppy to be that split push, and also you can go for those flanks with the Poppy.
What's so interesting is back when Sivir was so prominent as an AD carry and they picked it for those Sivir competitions, the mid laner of choice to counter Sivir compositions was Azir.
Yeah.
You just said, "Oop, looks like you're engaging Emperor's Divide," and you just sort of stopped them from getting on top of you. Gragas was also very popular for that respect as well, as you could just throw out the explosive cask and stop that from happening. Huge amount of teamfight control from Manlight though. They've got good area control. What you'll likely see from Larssen is a Nash's Tooth into Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Just look to control the team fight, slow people down with those soldiers. Then you have, again, Bard and Corki, good AoE damage and control. Then you have Rifty on that, Rifty on the Poppy, who will also be able to do the same kind of thing. So even if it gets to a team fight situation, as long as someone's not getting picked off, you kind of have to favour Manlight in that sense because they have a better skirmishy teamfight competition. However, that's not really what a Sivir competition is designed to do. You're designed to use that ultimate, pick someone off, and then try and capitalise on that. So, yeah. I think it depends on how well we use see these Sivir compositions used, because realistically, we haven't been seeing them used the same kind of way. No. In the way that it used to be used, because like you said, she's not just an alt bot anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see whether that's going to be the case in this game, but I'm excited to see these two lineups kind of clash when we get towards the mid game here, because we've got kind of a very, very, very much a hard engage composition up against this disengage to then potentially re-engage later on composition coming out from Manlight. And as well, to some extent, I would expect it to be a split push composition where you send Rifty off to that side lane, get that push on the go, and while the rest of the team can quite comfortably wave clear elsewhere.
I think you have to play it by ear though, because if they're grouping and trying to hard engage time and time again, that Poppy ultimate could be so useful for turning things in your favour. But like you said, they've already got loads of disengage on this. I think 4 out of 5 of their champions provide some form of team disengage, and their AD carry has a self disengage. So
typically, you don't really expect the disengage to be coming from an AD carry anyway.
No, exactly. But there's so much here to stop them getting picked out, or at least stop the engage happening from TCA, that they'll be sitting fairly pretty in most situations. But you look at TCA's composition, it just looks scary. Nautilus gets a hook into a charm, Sivir ultimate comes down, suddenly someone's dead and they're collapsing on the rest of the team. So I think I don't favour either team, but the later it goes, I favour Manlight more. If this goes into, because we don't realistically haven't seen that many games go to the later stages, but Azir and Poppy and Bard to an extent are all fantastic in the late game.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And there isn't really anyone on the side of TCA that shines in the late game apart from Nautilus to an extent, just because of how tanky he can get and the CC that he provides.
Yeah.
I mean, he is the champion with the single most CC out of any champion in the game. He's got the passive stun or the passive snare, the ultimate knock-up, the hook lock-up, and the Riptide slow. So there's 4 forms of CC on a singular champion. And that's why he is so useful in the late game, not because of any other reason.
And because he gets hyper tanky.
Yeah, hyper tanky. Yeah, really hard to deal with. And it is that horrific Poppy skin. Not quite as horrific as it used to be, but almost there.
It's a different skin to the one you're thinking of.
Oh, it is. Yeah, Lollipoppy is the...
It's Ragdoll Poppy, this one.
Is that a new skin?
I don't know. I've not seen it before, I don't think. But it looks similar to Lollipoppy, but it is not Lollipoppy.
It's not Lollipoppy.
So we'll have to wait and see. I don't really know enough about Poppy skins. I don't feel qualified to continue this conversation.
You're not a Poppy skin connoisseur, then?
I'm not a Poppy connoisseur. I kind of hate that champion, always have. But here we go. We're onto the map. So enough about Poppy. Let's talk about this matchup, because it's Manlight up against TCA. Now, TCA with a pretty damn strong early to mid-game composition if they can find the fights that they're going to be looking for here. Even trade over in that mid lane already. Heitung and Larssen going to be the matchup there. But very standard starts once more. This is what we're seeing out of every Premiership team at the moment. Just completely standard starts. Just spreading out across the map, not letting anyone...
Oh, actually, look at the bot lane from TCA. They're backing now.
They are indeed. As is Heitung, though, so maybe we see a bot lane and mid lane swan come out here.
What season was it that we used to see that?
Like season 1.
Was it season 1 or 2? Yeah, where we had like TSM used to go for that mid lane AD carry swap.
Yeah, that was when it was Ashe mid though, which, I mean, that was a very, 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 very long time ago. Like literally years, but hey, that was before LCS.
That was before LCS, you are
That
correct.
was like MLG Anaheim and all those weird tournaments that happened a long time. Anyway, I need to cough, so you talk.
So double swap coming. Double swap coming through here. Hado and Smiley going to get caught out right at the start.
They are indeed.
Comes down.
Hado is going to be able to get a double stun there, and they're going to be able to escape from that one. Nobody actually. I really like the clan tag coming out from Ayuki there.
Tilt TM.
That's beautiful. Love it. But here we go. Bit of a skirmish going on right at the start of this lane, and that's going to give the advantage to Hado and Smiley here. But over in the mid lane, Heytung actually getting chunked out by Larssen. Trading fairly evenly though.
They are indeed. I mean, what happened right there at the start of this lane is that Luke stepped up to CS and actually just did respect the amount of damage that could come through from a Bard and a Corki. He gets stunned up under tower as well. In the meantime, Rifty playing that Poppy, he should do fairly well against the Nautilus, especially the nerfed version of the Nautilus. It is a lane matchup that kind of favors the Poppy, especially if she can land a stun against the wall and then just get a full trade-off. Raisin's taking, I mean, that is so much damage coming out from these guys.
It's so difficult to be in a position where that's not going to happen as well. If you want to try and get those minion last hits, Raisins has to be there so that they can't just do the same to Ayuki. So very difficult situation to be put in there. But again, in this mid lane so far, Larssen doing a very good job to just kind of be in control. He's 6 CS up currently and just consistently putting out this pressure on Azir, which a champion that's known for his lane dominance here, but we can see Danny starting to hover towards this mid lane. We'll see if he's going to be able to get onto Larssen. Obviously doesn't know about it just yet. He's going to walk up for the CS. This is going to be the opportunity for Danny, but nice flash from Larssen. Danny, yeah, that was unlucky.
Yeah, that was just Danny flashed after the flash from Larssen had come through, and he just flashed in the wrong area. So flash for flash, I guess at the end of the day, it's still good to force the flash from the Azir early on. But at level 3, he kind of becomes a little bit more, a little bit safer in lane, because you can do that Shurima shuffle mechanic where you sort of wander around. Rifty forcing all the mana to come out from Fearless already, so this is a decent trade for him because he has so much mana left, and Fearless relies on mana to make his trades efficient because obviously he uses that Riptide you can see there, and Rifty just able to tank that up using that passive shield that he has there. Heytung already taking a lot of damage. The charm was dodged by Larssen.
Larssen's out of mana though, so don't expect much to go on there as Danny's actually in trouble. Furion trying to get the pressure out as he's up in this top side of the map. It's 3 versus 3 here, but with the tower around, I don't think that Manalite will be able to really turn that into anything. Larssen still putting on this pressure despite being out of mana, but the minions are slowly but surely going to force him away from that one. And across the map so far, very, very even trades in general, but the CS leads are slowly starting to creep out here.
That's the stuff,
Rifty
the ball
goes
right there.
aggressive onto Fearless, who's incredibly low, does manage to get his shield off though, and Rifty's out of mana, so he's not going to be able to finish off the kill, but good pressure coming out from Rifty nonetheless.
That's exactly what a Poppy wants to see in lane. As soon as they can stun you against the wall, it's basically like Vayne getting a condemn, and it's a completely free trade for you. And he's already forced Fearless back and back towards his base. He's going to teleport into lane now. And there's huge CS advantages as well, stacking up for Rifty, almost doubling the CS at this point in time of Fearless. And he's now going to back as well.
Yeah, he certainly is. And Fearless is going to be able to close that gap slightly with these few minions, but it's not going to be enough at this point. Look how huge that gap is. And similar situation for the AD carries, 10 CS lead in favor of Smiley, but there's no minions for that one to close on. Furion been kind of found out here, but will be able to just slip away into his own jungle.
I like the clan tag from Rifty as well. I respect a man who likes a good rapper.
G-Eazy.
G-Eazy. He's a good rapper.
No idea who that is. Can't say I'm that upset either. There you go. Maybe I'm missing out. Who knows?
You are missing out.
Probably not.
You are missing out, mate.
But here we go. We've got a bit of a trade going on in that bottom lane. Fearless taking the brunt of those hammer blows from Rifty, but nothing too crazy really. Just Rifty trying to get his zone on right now.
Yeah.
He's doing a good job of it.
And also, the times that they backed has been so beneficial as well for Rifty, just because of the fact he's managed to pick up his Barmy's Cinder, which is just going to mean he's so effective at trading with Nautilus in lane now because of how powerful that tool is. And he forced Nautilus back before he could afford the whole Barmies, so he's had to go for the sort of semi-components of a Sunfire Cape, which is usually what I end up having to back because I'm just forced out of lane early on, which is the Cloth Armor and the Ruby Crystal. It just means that Rifty's going to be able to trade far more effectively time and time again now against Fearless in this lane. Oh, Munch is having a slight respiratory distress.
Still suffering from the old man flu. It's not been a fun week for me, but there you go. We're all good now. But here we go. Fearless, again, every single time I look at this bottom lane, it's just Rifty punishing Fearless for trying to get any CS. However, we can see that Fearless has managed to close that CS gap somewhat. He's only 5 behind, and there's 4 for him to pick up right here. But he has been knocked up, and Furion's here to capitalize on the kill. But there's an entire minion wave to protect Fearless, but he is out of mana. He will slowly but surely be going down.
Blood.
There it is. The hammer thrown on in by Rifty, and that is first blood.
It was like a Captain America Avenger shield coming out from Poppy right there.
Yeah.
Secures the first blood. And again, very clever of Furion not to overcommit towards the tower there, just because of how much pressure Nautilus can put down. Luke takes a lot of damage, manages to shield that Phosphorus Bomb for a little bit of a damage reduction or damage control in this top lane. But I like that we're seeing a full swap here because it means that we do get the action of the 2 versus 2 lane, the action of the 1 versus 1 lane, which is always more interesting for us casters because it means that there's a little bit of something going on all the time.
Yeah, the lane swaps are not that exciting to watch, generally speaking, because typically you just see them push both towers and then it goes into the mid game at about 10 minutes. But here we go, we've got Smiley has been knocked back by the headbutt, does flash the pulverize, but is it going to be enough? Valkyrie comes out here, nice ultimate from Danny, but they can't quite finish it off. Beautiful Tempered Fate from Haddo is going to mean that Smiley can get away safely, costing both his summoners though.
I mean, that's exactly what you were talking about in Champ Select when you were saying, one of the best disengagers in the game, and especially versus Sivir, it just completely stopped that in its tracks, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely, but here we go, over towards the mid lane. Massive CS lead starting to be built up here by Larson. He's 20 CS up ahead of Heytung on that Ahri, who's really, really starting to struggle at this point. He's starting to fall behind to that Azir, and we mentioned how Ahri...
Oh, Fearless again.
Oh, Fearless is in trouble. That is going to be him going straight down. Furion actually having to flash at the last second there. Could have been in a little bit of trouble, but will be able to escape with his life. But there we go. That is going to be another kill onto that top laner, and that is going to be Rifty just extending that lead. So again, the solo laners of Manalite just doing absolute wonders, and Furion able to just support them in every single fight. Smiley just careers into lane. Can't quite get that last empowered auto attack off, but will be able to at least force Heytung out.
Yeah, that was just slightly unlucky for Smiley. He committed, unfortunately, forced Heytung the wrong side of that special delivery, which meant that he was just able to escape. Very, very slither of health, but you can see right now every lane is winning for Manalite, and they're forced to swap back because there's just no way that Fearless could now lane versus this Poppy. Poppy's actually going to head back down towards the bottom, and we may even see our first turret of the game go down here because of the pressure that Smiley and Haddo are putting on that top lane.
Yeah, absolutely. They're starting to get towards the tower. Still nearing a full HP, but Haddo pretty much denying anyone entry to this part of the map. And now they're going to be able to get onto that tower. Should be able to clear this next minion wave. They don't have that many minions to work with right now. They are going to have to maybe wait another wave before they can actually get the tower down, but certainly getting a lot of pressure up in that top lane, and that's the main thing right now for them. But here we go. Rifty has now been found out. He's fed up, or at least Fearless is fed up of being camped at this point, so they're deciding to turn this one back around. Danny going to be there to get the knock-up, and Rifty does go down. Ayuki grabs that kill, and it took all 5 members on this side of the map for them to get it, but they do secure the kill. That is going to be the first tier 1 up in that top lane going over the way of Manalite, but it should be traded evenly for this one down in bottom lane.
Yeah, and it looks like potentially they're even going to go for Rift Herald now on top of that, so they're going to ultimately make use of that huge commit to the bot lane. If they get this Rift Herald quick enough, they may even be able to take Dragon, or at least stop Dragon being taken by TCA, which would be a huge win for the Manolite squad at this point in time as well. And you can already see they're forcing Fearless up to that top lane because Smiley is putting so much pressure on that tier 2 turret with that minion wave. Dragon being called by TCA, but Rift Herald already going down means it should be able to react. And given how well Larsen's doing in this mid lane versus Haintung, I just don't think Dragon is the completely correct call here.
No, it doesn't feel like it. To be honest, it doesn't feel like Dragon's going to be that important this game, but Dragon is going to come out here. I don't think Manolite can really do much about it elsewhere. They can maybe contest the actual Dragon itself, but I don't think they're going to necessarily be able to punish with a tower or anything. Looks like that is just going to be given away, though. Manolite not really wanting to commit to anything at that point. Ayuki doesn't have his ultimate available, but they should be able to back away with this one just fine. Haetung, though, may be in trouble here because Rift is coming into the lane. Doesn't manage to get the stun. Spirit Rush will come out, and Haetung gets away with his life.
But this is just going to allow them to pressure this mid lane turret for free because there's no one in position to deal, and it's only going to be Alistair now and eventually Fearless who's making his way down. They're committing so many resources just to the defense that it's difficult for TCA to know what to do. I mean, yes, they took Dragon, but they're just sort of slowly being chipped away at by this Manolite lineup, and they committed so many members just to take down a singular member.
Uh-oh. Ayuki's in trouble right now. Furion has found him in this bottom lane. Good spell shield is going to deny any kind of Dragon's Rage play, and the flash gets him to safety. So that is going to be a whole lot burnt off Ayuki, though, and this could mean the bottom lane tower. But Smiley's been found out now. Danny's getting onto him. Tempered Fate is going to deny the aggression, though, and turns it around onto Ayuki. And now Fearless is going to be their target. He's incredibly low and will get finished off. Rifty tanking up the tower, but he's more than happy to do so. And that is going to be this bottom lane tier 1 finally taken. In the meantime, you've got Larsen jumping onto Raisins. He's just trying to find himself a kill right now. And in the meantime, you've got this tier 2 starting to be pushed on down in this bottom lane.
That was all Tempered Fate from Hado right there. It was a perfect... It's the Bard's wet dream in the nicest way possible. Basically, you manage to stun the enemy team in a very crucial time, but you don't actually isolate any of your own team members, so that as soon as it comes off, you're able to collapse. The teleport from Poppy obviously doesn't get cancelled by the Tempered Fate, so she was able to come in and they just phosphorus bomb at the perfect time and took out all of the threats from TCA in one go. So perfect play by Manolite right there. Mid lane CS differential right now is pretty huge. In fact, CS differential across every lane is pretty huge for Manolite, and this is kind of the way we expect them to play most of the time. They they calculated plays and then they just slowly work their way to a win just through huge gold differentials from every individual member.
Yeah, I mean 50 CS lead in the mid lane, that is just insane, just crazy. And you got 20 to 30 CS leads in the other lanes as well. 25 CS lead for the jungler. It's just terrifying to have to deal with that. But 6,000 gold overall is the score. Rifty jumping into this fight, trying to get onto Haetung. Does get the knock up, but Spirit Rush will keep Ari alive. No, it won't actually. Larsen gets the Emperor's Divide and flashes away. And now Ayuki has found himself in a 1v1 with Furion. Not a place that he wants to be. He will go down to Furion's Fists of Fury. But now we can see the mid lane siege will begin. Not a single member of Manolite dropped.
Yeah, 14 minutes into the game. This tier 1 turret, Fearless now the target as well.
Fearless is going to be the target. As you say, Rifty does take a tower shot as Fearless does manage to flash away. Maybe his name not so apt anymore, but they're going to push on towards this tier 2 as well. And they have plenty of wave clear to do so with. They're going to be able to chunk this one out. The red buff burning away, and that is going to be 2 towers off the back of those 2 kills. They're going to be very happy with that push.
Wow. So we're 15 minutes into the game. A singular tier 2 tower remains for TCA. The gold advantage is up to 10k at this point in time as well. Not looking good for the TCA lineup. They're not having the same showing that we saw of them last week versus Renegades. And this is like this methodical gameplay that we've come to expect from Manolite. I mean, they just slowly do things, but it feels slowly when you watch them because it's not as hectic as some of the other games, but actually everything happens pretty quickly.
Well, they have a 10,000 gold lead in 15 minutes. That's not that slow. But
because it's not, okay, I hate using this word, but it's not as much of a clown fiesta as some of the games that we generally tend to see.
Yeah, it's not just team fight after team fight. It's not just chaos.
Oh, look at that
really
Bard
nice
ultimate.
Tempered Fate into a double stun. That is Danny going down, and Raisins follows shortly. Hado has been on point with his Bard this game. Haetung going to be the next target and will get get dropped. Furion grabs him for breakfast, and now we're going to see the Rift Herald picked up once more. It's only 16 minutes into the game, so they can't do anything crazy like a Baron just yet, but they're going to be happy with an extra objective under their belt. But they only have one tier 2 tower remaining on the map, and then it's just the inhibitors to deal with. So they're going to head towards this top lane. You can see Larssen already clearing away those minions, getting ready to begin this siege.
This is, I mean, I've got to say, a lot of these team fights have been solely won by Hado on the Bard with these Tempered Fates. They've been absolutely ridiculous. They've allowed the team to set up the plays, and that double stun at the end there was just absolute wonder to watch. Yeah, and they're going to use this Rift Herald to the best of its ability, take the final tier 2 turret of the game out, and then probably return to base. Use whatever gold they've got to finish any items. You see Abyssal Scepter, actually the second item coming out on Larssen. He's not even going to go for that Rhyolite's Crystal Scepter, probably because he doesn't need it at this point in time. They're already dominating these team fights anyway, so any more control is something that would be surplus to requirements.
Yeah.
It's nearly a Frozen Gauntlet finished, or an Iceborne Gauntlet finished for Rifty, so once that's finished, he'll be a pretty huge threat as well.
What do you think about the Abyssal Scepter we've got coming out from Larssen? Because typically, when you think of Azir, you don't think of like a close-range champion. And obviously, Abyssal Scepter only reduces mana resist if you're up close and personal. Do you think that's a personal preference, or do you think that's just kind of standard Azir fare as you can jump into the fight?
I mean, maybe he's thinking of doing more of those aggressive type of Azir plays that we sometimes tend to see, the Shurima shuffle type things, where you get behind the enemy lineup and separate them. Maybe it's just that he doesn't want to get easily picked up by Haintung, who's actually going to fly away as Danny gets locked up by Smiley in that top lane, and it's going to allow them free roam to push that top lane turret down. Yeah, maybe he doesn't want to run the risk of even potentially being picked off by Haintung on that Ahri, so he's just making sure he has that magic resist to make him sort of
super safe,
resistant to any threats at all. Hado now the target.
Yeah, Hado and Furion have been found out, but look at the damage out of Furion onto... What even was that?
That wasn't even Furion, that was Hado.
Well, Dragon's Rage and Tempest came out as well, so I'm not even sure, but whatever, that was crazy damage. But here we go, top lane inhibitor is about to be taken here by Manalite. That damage is going to be more than enough to make sure that they secure this one for themselves. And first inhib of the game at 18.5 minutes. They're going to be very happy with that scoreline. And Fearless just going to take a chunk of damage as Rifty walks underneath the tower. They are... Honestly, it feels like Manalites are the ones that are fearless right now, because they can go wherever they like. They can do whatever they want with this ridiculous gold lead of 14,000 gold that they've got at 18 minutes. They're almost 1,000 gold per minute of the game ahead right now. Raisins is going to drop. There's another Tempered Fate. It just locks up both top laners, but Fearless is going to get stunned and might just be taken out. Does have to flash as well. The minion wave is going to be obliterated as it exits the base, and they're just going to wait for one more wave before they can finish off this mid lane tower. Danny gets flashed on by Smiley, and they are not looking to make this a long game.
No, this is going to be over very, very shortly, and they've made short work of TCA. There was an AD carry replacement for TCA, and kind of has maybe shown a little bit of miscommunication between team members, but second inhibitor of the game going down. They're looking to close this one out pretty shortly. One tower on this outer ring of base towers remains, and that will be the target for Manalite as they go to take their first dragon of the game, which will only accentuate the damage that they're doing right now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to watch the gold numbers and see if we can get to 1,000 gold ahead per minute of the game, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, and the longer it goes on, the harder it is to achieve. But here we go, another dragon taken by Mana. I say another, that's their first dragon of the game. It's one apiece, but I can't imagine there's going to be many more dragons this game, as there's already 2 inhibitors down. Baron has now spawned, and Raisins has got a couple of wards in that pit, but I really don't think, even with vision, this is something that they're really going to be able to contest at all. TCA definitely in a pretty dire situation. It's one of those where you're struggling to see the light at the end of the tunnel at this point.
There is no light at the end of the tunnel. If there was a light, there has been a rock slide and a subsequent closure of tunnel entrance.
Speaking of rock slides, it's going to be Furion looking to... I don't even know where I'm going with that, but Haintung is going to be able to Spirit Rush away. Hado arrives on the scene and actually doing a lot of damage himself. Haintung does manage to survive with that Spirit Rush in the end, but it is just going to be them entering lane with just dominance once more. And Furion realizing that he's got to do the old walk all the way across the rift just to try and deal with that minion wave, and by the time he gets there, it's already dealt with. So we all know that feeling. We've all been there, but by the looks of things, they're not even waiting for a minion wave. They're starting this one off. Emperor's Divide is going to deny the engage coming out, but Larson does get blown up here by Heitu. Nice kill on that Ari, but that is going to be... did he spell shield that? I think
No. He got knocked up by Rifty during the ultimate.
Okay.
Yeah.
But here we go. Heitung now going to be locked up against the tower. Rifty is going to be stunned, though, and taking a whole lot of damage from that tower. Heitung can't quite land the Opera Deception, but he will go down in the end to Danny. So it's 2 for 0 in favor of TCA.
Yeah, but a huge overcommitting by the Manlight squad. And Larson just left himself an open target there as he was in the enemy base before with no minion wave behind the turret. But they do get the turret anyway, so they trade 2 members for a turret, which actually at the end of the day isn't particularly awful for them. Baron will be up and available now. Larson is up, Rifty is up in 15 seconds. I imagine if they really, really want to nail the coffins in this game, they can go and take the Baron away.
Yeah, at this point it's kind of just a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's, really, for Manalight. They've pretty much sealed the deal, and now they've just got to finish off the paperwork. We'll have to see whether they opt to go for the Baron or whether they just look to end the game right now, because there's only one inhibitor available for them to take. The top lane inhibitor will be spawning probably in the next 30 seconds or so. So they might be able to, or they might have to go back up to that top lane and finish that one, but by the looks of things, we're just going to see a fight in this middle lane. It's going to be started off onto Heitung, who has to flash away over that wall. Raisins now last man here in this fight, but might just be able to get away with it. Oh, nope. I say that. Smiley just deletes him, even through his ultimate right there. And those spooky ghosts are going to be the end of Ayuki. Spell shield comes out, but it's nowhere near enough. Another kill comes across to Larson, as Fearless just gets denied as he tries to escape. There's the last tower going down. Danny just having to barrel roll onto his own base, or body slam in fact. And that is going to be the Nexus going down. That is going to be Manalight taking their 6th game of the Premiership and tying things up with the Banditos. Ladies and gentlemen, for week 6, we have 2 tiebreakers on our hands. We've got Exertus versus Choke